So it's tricky for Chris Davies. It's great to have all these players that could potentially play, but this is why I think when you get to the Burton game, which is 3 days later, this is why I think that Chris Davies won't be too worried about the fact that we're playing so quickly afterwards, which is completely unfair, EFL. I think completely unfair. But it's the same for Crawley as well, but not for every other team. But we can't complain though, because we've been harping on about our strong squad all season. So you can't turn around and say, well, we're complaining, because it is fair in terms of the scheduling, but we have got the squad to cope with it, I believe.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Monday evening, Birmingham City travelled to Crawley Town in our final game before Christmas. Now, Blues are 4 wins on the trot in the league, and if we win our game in hand, we will leapfrog Wycombe and go back to top of the league. And Crawley Town are in 21st. They're occupying that last relegation space. And in this video, we're going to talk about both teams, what we might expect, and how they may set up. So, Dad, Birmingham City versus Crawley Town, what are your thoughts?
It's got the feel of look at the ground, the size of the ground. They've got a capacity of 6,000. It has the feel of an FA Cup game, although it's actually more important because it's a league game. It's the type of team that we traditionally would draw in the cup, and you go, we're going to a small ground. It has that feel about it, but
a bit like Sutton United.
Yeah, a little bit like that, and I mean slightly bigger, but it's going to have that same type of feel to the game. They're not in bad form, Crawley. And in fact, when they came up in the playoffs. They finished 7th in League Two, but won the playoffs and surprised everybody, didn't they, by getting promoted. And then subsequently over the summer started to sell their best players, and everyone thought this is a very strange thing that's going on here. But actually, since they changed their manager, and their old manager wasn't bad actually, he went to MK Don, Scott Lindsay, and they got Rob Elliott now as their manager. They haven't done bad at all. We'll talk about their form in a minute. So this has the potential to be a tricky game, but with the form we're in, if we do what we know we can do, we will win this game if we play to our abilities and don't do what we have done in some games, match what the other team are wanting us to do. It's
been a running theme this season, has it, Dad, not getting caught up in the game that other teams want us to play. But I remember in the pre-season I was watching, Callum Fowler, he's the guy from Barnsley, he has that YouTube channel, and he was talking about Crawley, and he talked about exactly what you said. He goes, what strategy are they doing? They're getting rid of all their best players and bringing in relatively unknowns from the lower leagues. But whatever they've been doing, I wouldn't say it's been working because they're still in the relegation zone, but I think everyone expected Crawley to be completely cut adrift, didn't they, Dad? And, me and you do a score prediction video every week. I think I've predicted Crawley to lose majority of the weeks. However, they've churned out some pretty good results. In their last 5 games, you said about recent form, Dad, they've drew 2, won 2 and lost 1. So again, not too bad. I know they've played some of the lower end teams there, but their big thing is, again, like we talk about Stevenage, like we talk about various other teams in this league, Exeter, they don't score enough goals. So they're only scoring 1.05 goals per game, but they're conceding 1.68. Again, if you want to be a mid-table team and above, that ratio needs completely flipping on its head. You need to be scoring significantly more than you're conceding. But they've had some good results. If you don't mind, I'm just going to rattle off some of the results they've had this season. I'm sure you've probably got this in your research as well, but I think their biggest victory of the season so far, and it was recent as well, was they beat Charlton at the Valley 2-1. I thought that was a really good result. Wasn't expecting that. In fact, I predicted 2-1 the other way, so fair play Crawley. That's a brilliant result. They beat Rotherham at home 1-0. They beat Blackpool on opening day 2-1. Beat Cambridge 1-0. Beat Lincoln 3-0. And they've managed to draw to Stockport and Huddersfield 1-1. So the only reason why I reference these results, Dad, is just to show that they're no pushovers. This is going to be a fight on our hands, put it that way.
Yeah, they only lost 2-1 at Wrexham as well, and Wrexham have got a fantastic home record. So this is going to be a game that I think that we need to be sort of really on our game on. And I think Chris Davies has tried to instill this don't be complacent type of attitude into our players. And this is definitely a place to go. A Monday night, 8 o'clock kickoff. At Crawley is one of those games. These are the types of games that win your league titles. If you win these games, these are the ones that you really have to fight for.
They are also possible banana skins, aren't they?
Well,
they kind of go either way, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big game for Crawley, probably the biggest of the season in terms of that. Like Everton, they'll want to beat us. But like you say, just on their form, they're 8th in the form table at the moment in the league. That's good. There's some good teams below, a lot of good teams below them. As you said, they're 4th and bottom, though, so they're just occupying that final relegation space. But offensively, they don't score, like you mentioned, not loads. They score 20 goals in their 19 games, and as you just the average just over 1 per game. But their defence is the third worst, so they have got a problem at the back. They've conceded 31 goals. So it's a very winnable game for us, but like you said, a potential banana skin. Like we found out already against the likes of Charlton and Shrewsbury. and Northampton and other teams we have the ability to potentially have these banana skins. I'm really pleased you highlighted those games that they've won and drawn, because they're against good teams.
Yeah.
And they'll see us as another potential scalp. So again, another game, we need to respect the opposition, because we always do on this channel. You know we do that. And we haven't trounced anybody, and I don't think this will be a trounce, and we'll come on to our predictions a little bit later. But tricky game, I think.
And also, Dad, you mentioned Wrexham. Wickham only beaten by 1 goal as well. They lost to Wickham 1-0. So again, top of the league. So they can hold their own against the big teams in this league. So they're not going to be scared of us. They've got nothing to lose. They're going to come out all guns blazing. They're going to be physical. They're going to come at us. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite an entertaining game. I think that's definitely on the cards. And I saw them against Peterborough at the weekend, Dad. They lost at the time of recording last week, and they lost 4-3 to Peterborough. I mean, it was an entertaining game as a neutral, just watching the goals flying left, right and centre. But what really encourages me is our dominance down the wings recently. You know, Keshi Anderson has been absolutely destroying teams. Stano's been finding real good pockets down the left. And they were so vulnerable down the wings against Peterborough. In fact, if you look at the Peterborough goals, majority of them ended up going through the wings.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I think Peterborough noticed that weakness. They absolutely caned the wings, and then it made their back three really exposed. So they couldn't deal with the pressure and the speed from Peterborough. Yeah. And again, you've seen our energy. So as in Blues fans here, we've seen our energy, we've seen our press, we've seen our fitness levels. We could cause them some serious problems if they play 3 at the back. Will they change it? We don't know until they set up, do they? But they have been playing a 3-5-2. But as we always say, that a lot of teams play that in this league. But defensively, it's a 5 often, isn't it? And then they sit with 11 men behind the ball. So I think we're going to find a similar setup this weekend. On Monday, Crawley will play with a lot of men behind the ball, and we will need to try and obviously break them down, as a lot of our games have been this season. But if we can press them down the wings, force them into mistakes, they're vulnerable. And again, one of their centre halves called Joy McKenna, he was awful against Peterborough. Really mistake prone, really sloppy. So again, if we can put the pressure on their defence, I have no doubt we can force them into mistakes. But in the interest of a balanced argument, that defender against Charlton was outstanding. So again, a little bit hit and miss there, but if we put the pressure on, I have no doubt we can force them into making mistakes, and we can get a few goals on Monday.
Yeah, I think so. And once again, what you've just discussed really highlights the emphasis on us, really. If we do what we can do, we can win this game. You mentioned 3-5-2. They have played 3-5-2 3 times this season, but they've actually favoured a 3-4-2-1 from my research. Okay. 10 times they've played that this season, mostly under Rob Elliott as well, their new manager. But again, I think teams set up differently against us, don't they? So we can read into that what you like. I think they will be defensive. They might play 4 or even 5 at the back, so three centre halves and two defenders, maybe. I don't know. Or then they might just think, they have the attitude, well, we've got nothing to lose. Everyone expects us to lose anyway. Let's just go for it.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to say. Some of their strengths, I mean, obviously they're doing better than people expect, but they have got a strength of creating chances with through balls. So they obviously got a little bit of pace there, but there is a lot of weaknesses in this team. Finishing, scoring chances, defending long against long shots, defending set pieces, and also aerial duels as well. Interesting that research is as well, because a lot of teams that we, particularly down the lower leagues, that when I do the research, they're often quite strong on aerial duels. It seems to be a key part of a team in this league, but they seem to be poor on aerial duels. So maybe we can get a bit of aerial dominance there. But their general style of play is short passes, where they can take in long shots and attempting those through balls. And they do try to play possession football.
They do.
But they ain't going to do that against us. We've dominated every game possession-wise. So it's going to be a very interesting game. And this is a very different opponent that we have come up against in terms of the expectations of Crawley and how they will play. But also the emphasis is, because they're at home, what are they going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're not going to. I think in the build up to the Christmas fixtures, you're 4th from bottom. You got nothing to lose. You might as well throw the kitchen sink at it, and that could cause us some issues, because it might not throw us some challenges we're not expecting. But I've just gave a few negatives to the Crawley game there. Just one thing I do admire about Crawley is they can press well, and they are quite resilient. 4-3. They went down against Peterborough 3 times. And they still were in the game. Yeah. They still pulled it back. They didn't know when they were defeated. I think those teams can be quite dangerous. The ones that just don't give up and don't give in. Polar opposite to Bristol Rovers. Remember on the weekend, Dad? They looked like they didn't even want to be there and didn't want to battle. Almost like they turned up defeated before they blew the whistle. Crawley won't be like that. They will be firing and up for everything. I think they're quite a physical team. But I think from a Blues perspective, Dad, we've seen this season now, against Barnsley, second half against Stockport. We can scrap now, we can battle, we can fight, we can bring that physicality to games when needed as well. So I think this is going to be a good game, and I think it's a possible one that, not a banana skin, but I think it's going to be more challenging than what's expected on paper, because the bookies, as always, are tipping us to be hot favourites. And I'm expecting a good game.
Well, just to give you a few key players for theirs, because their top scorer at the moment, well, they've got two players on 4 goals. Will Swan, that's easy to say. The next one, Armando Quintana. He's got 4 players. If I've said that wrong and you're watching this, and I do apologise.
4 goals.
4 goals, yeah. And then Russian Hepburn Murphy, who used to be on the books of Villa, so he'll get a lot of pelters from the booth. He's got 3 goals. Max Anderson's got 2. The assists, they've got to Ronan Darcy with 5 assists, Will Swan with 2 assists. So it seems to be that Will Swan seems to be the main danger man, but there are other threats there as well. They brought in a lot of players over my research showed that in the summer they paid £770,000 for a player called Benjamin Tanimu, and they bought him from the Tanzanian A-League.
Right.
770,000. That's what my research shows. I mean, if you're watching this and you're Crawley fans, if that fee's inaccurate, please let me know. But and my research is normally quite accurate.
That's a lot of money for Crawley. Again, that's not disrespectful. That's just a fact that kind of money for a team like Crawley is a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money. And I'll show you in a minute some of the players they've let go, which is why they could probably afford that. They brought in centre back Josh Flint from Volendam in Holland. Pachuet Kamara, a central midfielder from Ipswich. He was on a free transfer. Russian Hepburn Murphy, he came from Swindon on a free transfer. Connell Truman, a goalkeeper, he used to play for us. He came from Millwall. He plays for them as well. So they brought them in. But look at the players that they've lost. So their main departure was their leading goal scorer with 25 goals last season.
It's a lot of goals.
It is a lot of goals.
Even in League Two, that's a lot of goals to lose, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was Danilo Orsi. He's 25 goals. They lost him. There's a guy called Claudi Lolos. He scored 15 goals. So that's 40 goals between the two of them. And they've lost both because he was sold to Bolton. Adam Campbell scored 7 goals. He was sold to Hartlepool. Next guy, Nick Tesorilu, he was sold to Notts County. He scored 6 goals. So they have lost a lot of goals, and we spoke a little bit earlier, didn't we, about their lack of goals, and they've struggled a little bit to do that or score goals this season. But they did finish 7th, and I think that's the last playoff place.
3 automatics and 4 for playoffs.
Yeah, so they did well, and they won the playoff final and got promoted.
Yeah.
So
and they've claimed some pretty good scalps there this season. You know, going to the Valley is difficult. We couldn't do that, and they've had some good results. So. Yeah, these will absolutely be no pushovers. But one final thing on Crawley for me, Dad, their highest rated player, and I always think this speaks volumes, is their centre-back, Charlie Baker. He's got their highest rating this year. And I think when a centre-half is your highest rated player, it often means because they're busy. We say that, don't we, on this podcast, but I think it's true.
I think on that point, Matt, I think it will be how do we break them down then?
Yeah.
Because
like it always has been this season, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean it is a tricky one, but we should with the players that we've got, have the firepower to score goals in this game. But they've had some good results. They haven't had any wins to any team above 9th. They beat Lincoln, who are in 9th 3-0, Blackpool in 10th 2-1, and then the rest of their wins are against Charlton in 14th, Rotherham 17th, and Cambridge in 22nd. So they are going to be beatable. But like always, it's one of them games that you look at on paper, think that's a definite win for Birmingham City, but actually we know that from what we've seen already in this league, anything can happen.
Absolutely. And on that note, Dad, should we get into the Blues?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because we've got a lot of games coming up quite quickly. So let's go from back to front again, if that's okay, and see what you think starting line.
I'll do goalkeeper in the back line, then you chip in, and then we'll pop midfield for you, Dad. So all up in goal.
Yeah.
Got Buchanan on the left. Yeah. Clara and Davies in the middle. Davies on the left side, and Bielek at right back.
Yeah, I've got that as well.
Yeah.
I think Chris Davies is at that part of the season now where he's got to look. Well, actually, we play on the 23rd, but we also play on Boxing Day. So is he going to look at this game and think, well, I might make some changes now and I'll have players ready for Boxing Day, or does he just put what we feel he is our best 11 into this game and see who's available and fit for the Burton game?
From the pattern that we've seen this season, Dad, I think Chris Davies will do that. He'll play our strongest team until something arises. We've played a few cup games this season, and me and you have expected to play a weakened team. He's gone full strength.
Yeah.
Even Sutton United, he played full strength. So I think he's going to play the best team we have at our disposal until there's a suspension or an injury or a reason to change the team, fitness level. So I think we have our core 11, and I think that's right. It's important to stick to your core 11, in my opinion, and then only deviate when injuries, suspensions, fitness levels drop. So for me, Dad, I agree, and I think he will stick to a full-strength squad.
Yeah, with the back line I agree with. I think that'll happen. And then we come on to our midfield. So do you want me to start with the midfield?
Yeah.
So this is what I think the way we'll line up. I think we'll start with Anderson on the right, Keshi Anderson on the right, Stansfield on the left, Pakenawata in the middle with Williamson at number 10 and Alfie May at number 9.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's our best starting 11 at the moment. And if he decides to go down that road, that's, I think, who we will pick. Clearly, we've got the likes of Hansen, who I believe is not too far away, so he might probably be on the bench. Scott Wright, not too far away, and I'm not too sure how far Alex Cochrane is from making a return as well. So we have got good options. Mark Leonard, I think, will definitely be on the bench, and probably if Lyndon Dykes is fit, I think he likes to put him on the bench because it gives us a different option. Yeah. If the game needs a bit of a physical presence, he'll be there. Maybe Luke Harris on the bench as well. Yeah.
But there's two players I'd like to see introduced into this game, Dad, if we're noticing a Charlton, if we're noticing a Barnsley, if we're noticing, having one of those games where we're just struggling to break down. I want to see Mark Leonard introduced quite early, and possibly Yokoyama as well, brought on quite early. If I'm just playing the game, if it's not going the way we want to, or we need a different outlet to break them down, I think Mark Leonard and Yokoyama should come on quite early, if that time arises.
The issue you're going to have, Matt, with that is, I think if you've got the likes of, say, Cochrane and Scott Wright and Emil Hansen coming back, they're going to be on the bench, I think, in front of Yokoyama. So he might not even be on the bench. This is the tricky thing with League One. You can only name 7 substitutes. So if these players do come back, Chris Davis is going to have to look at his bench and say, well, who we're going to put on there. I think Bailey Peacock-Farrell will be obviously the substitute goalkeeper. Yeah. So there's only really 6 outfield places to put on that bench, isn't there? Yeah. Mark Leonard will definitely be there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Lyndon Dykes will be on there as well. Ethan Laird, Taylor Gardner-Hickman. Yeah. So it's tricky for Chris Davis. It's great to have all these players that could potentially play, but this is why I think when you get to the Burton game, which is 3 days later, this is why I think that Chris Davis won't be too worried about the fact that we're playing so quickly afterwards, which is completely unfair, EFL, I think. Completely unfair. But it's the same for Crawley as well, but not for every other team. But we can't complain though, because we've been harping on about our strong squad all season. So you can't turn around and say, well, we're complaining, because it is fair in terms of the scheduling, but we have got the squad to cope with it, I believe.
But Crawley haven't, bless them. With all due respect, they haven't got the depth that we have, so this is going to hit them hard as well. But
maybe they're rest players.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is naughty, and a really 20-second gripe, I promise, then we'll move back into the game. With the EFL rights and the TV rights, they put Sunderland going to ridiculous places on a Monday evening and a Friday evening. How is that fair to the teams that have to travel really far? Blues, they've now got a bigger congestion backlog. So it's not just Blues that are feeling the pinch about the congestion fixtures. Clubs up and down the country are being stitched up with this new TV deal. Anyway, back to the game, Dad. But a really competitive bench, and as I say, I would like to see some changes if we are struggling to break them down, or we want to create a different avenue. I mean, Yokoyama, Scott Wright, anyone who has a bit of flair is what I'm getting at. Anyone who can change a game by moving the ball with their feet, and so whoever's available, who has that pace on the wings, I'd like to see them, come in at some point during the game. But as you said, Dad, really important point. If we play the game, we can play, we will win this game. And I think it'll be a case of how can we break them down. And thankfully, I've been really reassured. I think since the Exeter game, since he made those changes at the back, we're a lot more secure.
We look more solid,
we're a bit more direct with our play going forward. And by direct, I don't mean that we're hoofing it now. I mean that we're not going side to side as frequently as we once was. We are going through the middle. Pake's carrying the ball. We are going past players now a little bit more. So I think our game is evolving. I think it needed to evolve. Yeah. And I think, as I said, the score prediction video about it yesterday, so if you watch that, you'll know. I'm going to go for Crawley Town 1, Birmingham City 3.
Yeah, and I've gone for a similar scoreline in terms of the difference. So I've gone for Crawley 0, Birmingham City 2. Yeah. Like we've always said, the main thing is whatever the score is, as long as we get 3 points, as long as we got more goals than them at the end of it, it don't really matter, to be honest. Yeah. But let's keep the momentum going. This is a potential banana skin. It'll be a team that's well up for it, as they always are. But we have got the players that can win this game. If we play our game, we will win this game.
We do seem to do better against the better teams, don't we?
Yeah.
And the teams like your Northamptons and your Shrewsburys and arguably now your Charltons and 14th, we tend to drop a few points, don't we? But anyway, let's break that curse on Monday evening and let's get those 3 points. So, as always, Birmingham City supporters, we'd love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts and comments in the section below. Do you agree with some of our insights and thoughts? Do you have something input of yourself? Please let us know. Myself and Dad will get around to that as quickly as we can. Maybe you're a Crawley Town fan. Please drop us a comment as well. We welcome all fans and all comments on this channel. We'd love to hear from you as well. So please drop us a comment in the section below. If you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now as well. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to press that big red subscribe button and press that bell notification as well so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video all about Birmingham City.